Hey folks, thought I would post this next video, and since I waited so late, we'll make it very short and sweet. So a new unit called Movement of Water on the Earth. This is all about surface water. Here are the learning targets for this first video. There'll probably be 3 videos altogether. So keep them real simple for you, so write those down please. Alright, so you probably learned the water cycle in middle school or grade school. So we're going to study that in parts. We're going to study it in over different units. We kind of hit it a little bit on the last unit with the weathering, the moving water. We're going to talk about moving water again right now because we're going to talk about runoff and how it flows down the Earth's surfaces. So basically, when precipitation hits the Earth, whether it's solid, rain, snow, or sleet, snow, sleet, or hail, some of that will melt, some of it will become part of glaciers, and some of it will just stay as an ice pack or snowpack in the coldest parts of the world. Of course, rain is liquid, so whether the snow, sleet, or hail melts and then combines with any rain, there's one of 3 things that is going to happen to that liquid precipitation, that liquid water. And those things are listed there. It'll soak into the ground, it'll evaporate back into the atmosphere, or most importantly for this chapter, it'll flow down the slopes of the earth. So flowing down the slopes of the earth, of course, is called runoff. And I found a nice little picture of runoff as the snow melting is coming down the hill. It forms a nice little stream, really high quality picture there. Eventually that runoff will reach a stream, a river, a lake, maybe even the ocean. Sometimes it also puddles into places on the earth, little low spots that are not necessarily lakes, rivers, or ponds. I'm sure you've had some puddles in your yard after a heavy rainfall. And then that water might seep into the ground. Now this is not a chapter about groundwater, the water under the Earth's surface. That's coming up next. But there's some factors that will determine how much seeps into the ground and how much continues to flow over top on the surface, the runoff. So just for a second, I want you to hypothesize, how does the slope determine how much water seeps into the ground? Think about that. I might ask you in class on Tuesday. So here are some conditions that have to be met that will help determine how much water actually runs over the surface and how much water seeps into the ground. One is vegetation. If there's grass or trees or other vegetation growing on soil, it tends to hold a lot more water. It's more like a sponge. Soil that doesn't have any vegetation doesn't really tend to hold water, and the water almost all flows off in runoff. Rate of precipitation. Okay, so this is kind of a no-brainer. When it rains real hard, much more of the water flows off than can seep in. It can only seep into the ground at a certain rate. Again, depending upon vegetation, right? So if it rains real hard, that's when you get all this runoff. Here in Pike County, it runs off the hills into the creeks, into the rivers, and that's what causes the rivers and the creeks to swell up and flood. Soil composition. Some soils are, again, more spongy than others, can hold more water, and some are almost impervious, which means it can't go through it to water. So really rich soil, humus-containing soil. Humus is that dead organic matter that makes garden soil so rich and so good for growing. So the dark soil has humus, dead plants, dead animals. And then there's clay soil. You've ever seen the red clay soil of Tennessee and Virginia? That doesn't hold as water as well. So it'll run off more across clay soils than it will on humus-rich soils. And again, on that last one, here's that question about slope. So the steeper the slope, the more what there is. Think about that one. Is it more runoff or more seepage? Okay? And that's it. So remember, I'm not going to be here tomorrow in class. I won't be here Monday, but I'll be back on Tuesday. I'm going to leave you an assignment that you have to use the textbook for tomorrow, and it's about this topic. It's going to be kind of like a discovery assignment. You can also use these notes. So I'll see you Tuesday.